Okay, I'm Graham. I own the antique clock repair and restoration. I'm really doing this video to tell you the importance of oiling your clock every 2 years. Most clocks that I get in, including these two cuckoo clocks, are here because the clocks were not oiled every 2 years. Let me explain what I mean by that. If you look on this clock as an example, you can see the ends of the wheels sticking out here. I don't know whether you can see it from that video, but the ends of the wheels are called pivots, and they actually sit inside a sink. And inside that sink there should be oil. What happens after 2 years, that oil drains in a capillary action onto this pivot and keeps it oiled. After 2 years, obviously that oil is then used up. The clock will still continue to run, but it's running with no oil. So therefore you have this pivot running in this brass plate with no oil. From that you can determine that what's going to happen is that hole will wear oval, and when the hole wears oval shaped, these two gears will gear in too deep into one another and the clock will stop. Often people think they've overwound a clock, but that's not the case. It's nearly 99% of the time it's because these have not been oiled regularly every 2 years, and they have ground oval and the gears are gearing in too deep into one another. Now let me move you over to these grandfather clocks. There are 3 of them here. This one needed to be completely overhauled and bushed. Bushings are these little holes in here that I've had to replace because they've become oval shaped. Now if this clock had been oiled every 2 years, he wouldn't have needed a major overhaul. So that's why I'm doing this video, to explain to everyone that it's important that you oil your clock every 2 years. And by the way, I can do a house call to do that for you, and I can do that at your house. But most people don't understand the importance of doing this, but if you're watching this video you will. This is another clock over here, same problem, but this clock had been run for 30 years with no oil. Totally destroyed the mechanism, needed a brand new mechanism. Obviously this is not cheap to do. You could be looking anywhere from $500 to $800 to $1,200 for a new mechanism. Well, no one wants to do that, so that's why you must oil your clock. This one over here, luckily they haven't been oiling this regularly, but they're lucky that some of those holes that I was explaining to you earlier on were not so badly worn. So they're getting away with not such a major overhaul, but at the same time it's going to need to be stripped and bushed. But all these clocks that I've showed you so far, none of them would have needed anything if the clock had been oiled every 2 years. And this is the basis of this beginning of this video, is just to get people to understand how important it is. It's not that we're trying to get more business or blah blah blah. What we're trying to do is explain to you as a customer, if you have any clocks in your house, how important it is to oil your clock every 2 years, because otherwise, as I've explained to you a few times here, these pivots will become oval after 2 years because there's no oil in there, and the brass on the steel will wear the holes oval shaped. Anyway, that's the first lesson for today. Thanks.